Hello, hello. Say hello if you're here. I'll be glistening tonight for you. It's already 159 degrees out here in the garage / dye studio. And just getting everything ready for you. I'm gonna wait for a few of you to hop on and join me. Say hello when you are here. I'm going to do a few little things just to get some of the flipping right. Not like flipping the bird, but just there we go. So you can read the sign there behind me. Okay. Hello, Janica. Good to see you. Foxbane Fibers is here, otherwise known as Kirsten, of course. A lot of you who have been watching these, hey, Cassandra, you're knitting your Gone Viral socks as you watch this and listen. So listen to me. If that yarn starts misbehaving and that swirl doesn't do what it's supposed to do, Cassandra, you tell me. Because that yarn is really an intermediate to advanced knitter yarn. And it's supposed to behave itself, but sometimes it doesn't. So Cassandra, please tell me. Cassandra, please tell me if it's getting ornery. Oh, you have the sock blank. Lovely. I am so excited to see those socks in that sock blank because I never knit a sample sock in Gone Viral in that blank. So please show me pictures whenever you get a chance. So Janica, I pronounced your name right because I'm a teacher. That's just the why behind being able to pronounce so many different names. Thank you, Cassandra. And I'm sure that your work is beautiful too. Y'all don't realize how much I depend on my customers to show me these pictures. It's like, oh, let's just call it an addiction of sorts, because I love seeing how my yarn has grown up. It's like in its baby form when it's with me, and when it gets to you, oh my gosh, it turns into, it's a transformation, literally and figuratively, because it just shows me what talent you guys have and what the second life of my yarn is. Because as a skein, you know, it's wonderful to look at, and I ship it off to you. And that's why just a couple of years ago, I did start getting very committed to knitting up samples with my own yarn, because for years, I mean, we're probably talking about 6 or 7 years, I did not knit anything with my own yarn. I really didn't. It was like a little silly. So like I said in the very beginning, it's about, 189.9 degrees out in my garage. So I hope you don't mind. The Texas heat, I think, is kind of here. We've had a couple of cold snaps, but it's here to stay. And let's start on color theory. Tell me, comment below, raise your hand. Who's ready for color theory class? This is what we do with the students in my Zoom groups with my little students from the elementary school, because y'all know I'm an elementary librarian. I just put my hand like right here because they need to see that that means you're raising your hand. Yeah, so give me some hearts and likes. Raise your little hands. Hey, Carla, no problem. We were just small chatting, small talking. Yes, Foxbane Fibers is our guest tonight. She is the color theory expert. Like when we were talking on Wednesday, we have our Yarny meetings on FaceTime on Wednesdays. She was telling me all of this stuff that she just kind of knows. And I'm like, I am so glad that you're taking the lead on this one. I'm going to be here to dye the yarn. She's going to be here to teach you. So let's get started. The pots are hot. And we're going to start. So I want to just flip you around and give you a small teaser for what we're going to actually be making tonight. Dun, 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 dun. Not the socks, but look at those beautiful skeins. So Kirsten is going to talk more at length about what those are while I dye them. Okay, so if you know the drill, if you've been with me before, you're going to go sideways for the dye pots. Live does not let the camera rotate, but it's okay because it's just the dye pots. So I'm going to set you up and we're going to start dyeing. It's going to be so much fun. If you're brand new, yes, I know. If you're brand new, say hi and just have fun with me. All right, so let's start here. We're going to start with our primary skeins of yarn. If you feel upside down, if you feel sideways, it's okay. It's just a feeling. Let it pass. The fun is going to start and you're not going to even be thinking twice about being sideways. So for our primary color lesson, of course, we have our primary colors: blue, red, yellow. Admittedly, y'all, when I was dyeing this sample skein the other day, I was like, oh Lord, this is not gonna work. But as you saw in the teaser just then, it actually worked out pretty darn good. So the first color that I'm gonna put in is the red, and I'm just trying to almost make like a thirds on the skein. The water level is deep enough that I cannot do the trick, ouch. Oh my God. Leaving your, note to self, safety tip number 1, do not leave your metal tongs on top of your crock pot for an hour. Oh Lord, hold on. I'm gonna have to get my other tongs because they're hot. All right, I've got to get these, which are not my favorite, but they do the job. So my trick last week, if you were with me on my color movement class, was to pinch up, and watch, it's working now, was to pinch up some of the yarn. So let's just do that as a kind of a trick. With the water level being higher than usual, it's not gonna work that hard, but it's a good visual reminder of where to put the color. Because when you're just sprinkling it willy-nilly, it tends to get a little uneven or not, the pieces of the pie aren't as big as they should or as small as they should be. So let's start. Mask on, because these are professional dyes. Starting with the red. Yeah, when I was dyeing this, y'all, I was like, oh God, because I hardly ever dye in primary colors. See, even I'm going out of my comfort zone. All right, sprinkle and leave it alone for a second. Clean off your measuring spoon, go to the blue. Now, of course, since these are primary, it really doesn't matter which wedge I go for the blue. Doesn't matter at all. So the things that Kirsten will talk about will show up in our example skeins. It's pretty awesome. And last but not least, our yellow. We have a lot of yellow because a little bit goes a little way. And since all of these colors, when they mix, they work well together, the end result is going to be colors that have mixed that just make a new beautiful color. Okay, we did the sprinkle. Now it's time to spread. Since the dye powder is in the water, I feel comfortable taking my mask off because it's not flying around in the air. This skein might even be better looking than that example skein I did the other night. So this is a non-superwash worsted weight merino. No, it's not merino, it's a Highland wool. So this skein of yarn and its partner that's gonna look exactly the same is gonna be great for a handbag or ear warmers, boot cuffs, things that aren't always like right up on your neck close to your skin. So isn't that cool? Now, one of the big lessons in dyeing yarn, when it's in the pot, it's like, if you're thinking about a bug's life cycle, it's a nymph. It's like the ugliest it'll be. So it's a nymph right now. When it comes to you and it's white, it's an egg. And now it's a nymph because it's pretty ugly right now. I mean, it's the ugliest it'll be. Do y'all feel me? Are y'all picking up what I'm throwing down? Comment below and just let me know that you're on board with me, with my comparison here. Now, when it comes out of the, pot, it is whatever is after a nymph stage. I don't know. Maybe this is the larva. This is the larva stage. Then when it comes out of the pot, it's a nymph. So you're like, oh, that's what it looks like. Then you put it on the drying rack, and then it starts to become more of a, gosh, this is like science class, pupa? No, egg, pupa, larva, nymph, adult. Okay, I skipped like all of the life cycle. So egg when it's an undyed yarn, pupa when it's in the pot, larva when it comes out and it's still wet, nymph when it's like on the drying rack, okay, and it's drying up, and then it's an adult when you do something with it. Okay, in my jars, so maybe I've skipped ahead. This is my primary lesson. And remember, Kirsten from Foxbane Fibers is going to be coming back and really teaching us the color theory behind what I'm doing. So this is our primary and secondary. And now we go on to, and this is what was blowing my mind when I was talking to Kirsten the other night, complementary colors. Okay, so much fun, y'all. I asked Kirsten, I said, Kirsten, if yellow and purple are complementary colors, they sure don't complement each other when they mix because they turn into brown goo. She said, yes, that is true, Ashley. And I said, so I don't want them to mix on my yarn. And she said, yes, that is true, Ashley. So what I'm going to show you here is one of my tricks for trying real hard to keep colors from mixing. So I found the middle of the skein and I got one of my scrap pieces of yarn and I tied it as tight as I could right here. Now, normally, if you've been with me for a few presentations, you know that when I have two jars, I will dip more than half of the skein into one and then more than half of the skein into the other so that they mix and they're beautiful in a third color in the middle. Wanda joined us. Yay. I'm glad you figured it out, Wanda. So with complementary colors of gold and purple, I don't want them to mix to make brown goo. So I'm just going to guide each end. And because I didn't want another like kind of reminiscent primary skein, I chose more of a you know, like a gold and a beautiful lilac here. So I'm putting this in slowly, kind of drawing it out, mainly because the ends of the yarn down there, I want them to move around and get color on them. The middle is going to remain white. I will not go back and forth like I've done before. I'm gonna get my, all right. The other thing about metal tongs, they cool down easily, yay. So I'm just gonna nudge, clean off the ends because I don't want a purple spot right there. I'm gonna nudge these down and just leave that alone. A little bit of color will wick up but it won't usually pass this tie right here. So the tie just jumbles all the yarn up. It keeps it nice and tight so that the color does not move over. All right, I'm gonna check for some comments here or some questions. How are you doing, Anne from Santa Rosa Beach, Florida? And Kelly from Long Beach. I'm so glad you guys are here. How do you lay in the skein of the pot for the primary? Very good question. Like a cinnamon roll. So from the outside to the middle. But really, it's just personal preference. It just happens to be that the round crock pots, it's easier that way. So great question, Janica. You got your first batch of yarn from you in the mail? Oh, good, Katie. Yes, girlfriend, teacher, power. Thank you for ordering. I appreciate that. Okay, y'all. I just want to show you how I'm sweating to the oldies here. And the great irony is, like, I need to wipe my face off. And all of my, like, towels and stuff are for dyeing yarn. So, like, they all have dye on them. So if I used a towel from my dye table, I would get dye all over my face. We don't want that. All right. Okay, I should have done this in private, but whatever. Okay, so we've done our primary. We've done our complementary colors. And remember, Kirsten is going to be telling us more about examples of complementary colors. We're going to show you the sample skein that I did the other day as a finished product. And now we're going to go to my favorite, which is the contrast. She taught me the other night, contrasting colors are kind of like light and dark. So my brain immediately went to one of my all-time favorite combinations of turquoise and like black. Okay, to the dye pots we go. Remember, you're gonna be flipped. Facebook is gonna freak out. It's all good. Okay, so over here, let's see if I can, without burning myself, move y'all a little closer here. All right, not bad. Over here in Old Faithful, earlier today, on one side of the skein, I sprinkled and spread the turquoise. And then I flipped the skein of yarn. So this is what I'm calling my two-face method. So it's sprinkle and spread, but I'm covering the entire other surface. And we're gonna go back to the light box in just a moment. And of course, as Kirsten is talking about contrasting colors, we're gonna talk about and show you the finished product. So on with my mask, here I go with my second layer of color. Comment below with what shows y'all are watching. I'm watching Hoarders right now on Netflix, and I am totally obsessed. I'm hoarding the hoarding show. I am fascinated by human behavior. So what are y'all watching right now? I kind of want to go back and keep watching or rewatch Downton Abbey. Once upon a time, I had some colorways from some Downton Abbey. All the sisters had their own colorway. Okay, now notice I did not cover 100% of the skein because I'm gonna be sorry, I'm gonna flip y'all around. So here we have it. But what I'm gonna do is, gosh, I'm gonna be sprinkling it in. So I didn't cover 100% of it. I sprinkled, but now I'm spreading. So it's almost like I'm just tapping with my measuring spoon. And that simple tap will just spread that powder around. And then it'll look completely black. And so this is like, if you guys watch Bob Ross, Kirsten, it's gunmetal. If you guys watch Bob Ross, and please tell me you do, and if you don't, please start. This is the bravery test. Because y'all, it looks like all hope is lost on that turquoise. Oh, but it isn't. Okay. So just notice that it looks completely black. But I'm telling you, when it sets and when you pull this thing out of the crock pot, all that underneath yarn is going to have stayed turquoise. And it is going to blow your mind. Okay. Now, Foxbane Fibers is going to come up and she's going to be our guest star. So it might take us a minute for her to request to join. So Kirsten, go ahead and request to join and we will start this process. And I will just be showing gorgeous yarn as you're teaching us about color theory. And now for some reason, if this doesn't work and she isn't able to join, then I will do my absolute best to tell you guys about what she taught me. And then she will be commenting, of course, below. So we've got to make sure that she gets on and can join us, because really Kirsten is the one who, she went to school for this. She's an artist, graphic designer, loves to paint. And in her painting classes in college, this is where she learned about color theory. She has a wonderful little color wheel made of yarn that she dyed, and because, you know, she's got to, and she's a brand new baby dyer. Okay, so I taught Kirsten how to dye in November. So she came over to my house and we had a dye day and it was so much fun. No one has ever actually come to me to learn how to dye. Lots of people have said, oh, it would be so fun to learn, you know, but no one has ever took me up on, hey, you want to come to my house? I will teach you if you come to my house. And she totally did. So I'm wondering, Kirsten, if you're trying to join. So Kirsten, comment below and let me know if you're trying to join. And I'm wondering if you have to join as Kirsten James instead of Foxbane Fibers. So go through your personal Facebook. So other than Netflix, what are you guys having for dinner tonight? I'm making soup. It's in the Instant Pot. And if you don't have an Instant Pot, oh my gosh, join the club and be happy. Rice in 12 minutes and all you do is just dump and press a button. Come on now. Love the Instant Pot. Who has an Instant Pot? I love making soup. Pizza, says Jamie. Yay. Nacho bar. Ooh. I'm coming over to your house, Janica. Oh, he made it, Jamie. Nice. There was a time when I really liked little pizzas made out of half of a pita bread. Those were fun. And here's a really weird pizza combination that I get a lot of faces. Mushrooms, and I'm talking shiitake mushrooms and goat cheese. Yum in the tum. So Kelly, you have an Instant Pot? Wonderful. Okay, just a couple more minutes. Pork chops, potatoes, and beets. Love the beets. There's beets in my soup tonight too. Beets and goat cheese is a great combo. It makes you feel so sophisticated. Just cube that sucker up, pop it in the oven, and after it roasts up in the oven, just sprinkle some crumbled goat cheese on it. So good. Good combo, Carla. That does sound good. Y'all, the chickens are, y'all know that I got about 3 weeks ago, I got some baby chicks. They are monsters. They eat everything. Okay, so Kirsten, I don't think we're going to be able to have you join, and that makes me so sad because we practiced. However, you taught me so much. So Kirsten is going to be here to drop comment bombs of truth about these colors and color theory. All right, and no, I didn't get my color wheel out. I've got this color card thing that I purchased, like, I think to feel official. And then I really was like, I'm not going to use this ever. So I'm flipping through this die book right now that I have. I pulled past the pages where it's like, put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the microwave. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, no, sir. So, it doesn't have a color wheel. Oh, well. Let's just get in the light box and we will start having some fun. Kirsten, again, you're going to drop some truth bombs in the comments whenever I, forget the info. Okay. All right, so before your eyes, you have the skein of yarn that we did for our primary colors. So we are all very familiar with our primary colors. Kelly, I tried doing the plus sign to invite, and it wasn't showing up. It just said link mystery mask, like put a mask on your face in front of the camera. So unfortunately, we even practiced. We were prepared, y'all. So we know our primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And when they mix, of course, yellow and blue create green, red and yellow create orange, and blue and red create purple. Like, this is no mystery to us, right? So the thing about dyeing yarn with these really bold colors is that they're going to show up as really, really busy, and you're not going to have just 3 colors clean and true. You're going to have 6 colors eventually. So what I want to just point out, though, is how important it is to balance out the coverage on these yarns, because it's so much for someone's eye to take in. And the secondary colors of the green, orange, and purple, you only want to just kind of sneak in there, right? Because those primary colors are going to pop out and scream out for attention. But the secondary colors just are there to soften the blow between each color. I mean, look at that. I was very hesitant on this, y'all. So this is not really for me. For the right project, I think it would be the yarn for me, because I love the bold colors. Y'all know that about me. But I wouldn't necessarily choose this on the rack. It's gorgeous to me, but I wouldn't choose it. But that's not really for me to judge it as a colorway. I mean, it's fun. It's got its purpose. And so I guess my main, and Kirsten, if you agree with me on this, like, the balance of these colors is crucial. So Kirsten, give another little comment of what you would have said about primary colors. And maybe, like, what would you say in choosing primary colors for a pattern? Like, what should we be aware of? So let's give Kirsten a few seconds to do this while I sip my Sauvignon Blanc and feel like a sophisticated. I have to have some sort of sophistication in my life, y'all. I dye yarn in a garage. So I'm gonna twist this one back up. A mosaic project. So Carla, tell me a little bit more about what a mosaic project is, because honestly, I need to know a little bit more. Mosaic project doesn't ring any bells for me, so I'd like for you to also add a little more detail. So the primary colors blend and you get those little peaks of the secondary colors. Me too. That is one of my favorite things about this skein of yarn when it became an adult, from the egg to the pupa, larva, nymph, and now it's an adult. Actually, it's still a nymph. It's an adult when it's in one of your hands, right? Okay, so I'm going to twist this one back up and we're going to move on to complementary. So Kirsten is going to type as fast as she can and tell us about complementary colors. I'm so glad you guys came and joined us today. So Carla says, something where you slip stitches and use a solid contrasting with it. I'll post a Ravelry link, for example. Thank you. I wonder if that, educate me, Carla and Janica. What is the difference between brioche and mosaic? So Janica says, mosaic is a great way to get color patterns while using just one yarn color at a time through the magic of slip stitches. Y'all are blowing my mind. I have to search Ravelry for some mosaic patterns now. Okay, so my complementary colors that I had in the jars. I know your color wheel is so cute, Kirsten. Here's what we're going to do, Kirsten. We're going to post pictures in the event of your color wheel. She worked on her color wheel not necessarily for this event, but for just herself as a baby dyer, because it helps her plan and see how things look dyed up when she's planning her colorways. Okay, good, Kelly. Breathe and Hope has mosaic, because I'm working on Breathe and Hope right now, and I'm almost done because, hey, Chanel's here. Because the next free Casa Pinka pattern is going to be, I'm going to have codes for it, y'all. Woohoo! And Janica said, I just designed a mosaic knit piece for Expression Fiber Arts. Once it releases, I can share a link. Janica, you're my new best friend. El Caminito is a mosaic as well. Love the gold on that skein. Yes, yes. So, okay. I didn't want to go true purple and true yellow. Okay, so I chose purple and yellow as my complementary colors, and Foxbane Kirsten just commented that orange and blue, red and green, and purple and yellow are complementary. So I went a little off the true complementary colors, and I went with a softer lilac and a more of a gold. So I love the way these two work together. And at first I was like, oh, okay, then I can go in to the very middle of the skein where there's this white spot, and I can sprinkle in some gray, because gray is a neutral, right? But then I was like, you know, I really like the fade. I like how the gold fades into that yellow a little bit, and then the purple fades into, you know, just that light purple. I love seeing that travel up the yarn. I really, really do. Vertical stripes are mosaic. Thank you, Kelly. Y'all are teaching me a lot of stuff. I should have y'all on as guests too. Okay, so there's my complementary. And this also reminds me of like the iris, the purple iris that has that gold in the inside, and it has white. For one of my customers, she actually helped me make some sample socks with my swirl yarn last summer, and I was offering free yarn. Y'all will do anything for free yarn. And so I offered up some free yarn in exchange for knitting sample socks for me because I couldn't do it all in one summer. And she wanted the purple iris colors. So the skein that I dyed for her was that gorgeous 50/50 merino silk, mostly purple, fading into white, had the gold tips, and then I sprinkled black in there for that little speckly inside the actual iris. And yes, Janica, I am a fan of the white spots. I think it adds so much to the yarn and to the finished product. I really do. Okay, let's move on to our contrasting colors. For yarn is never turned down. Heard that. Okay, now Kirsten is so super sweet, and she's always so kind to me. So when I said, oh, I have a great idea for contrasting colors, turquoise and blue, turquoise and black, she was like, okay, because contrast is light and dark. So in my opinion, the turquoise is the light, and of course the black is the dark. So I just think this is gorgeous. And I can tell by the hearts that y'all are putting up that y'all think it's gorgeous too. So this is what we dyed in the crock pot that I like to call Old Faithful. So the cool thing about these little patches of, like, I wouldn't call them undyed, but just really only kissed with that turquoise, is that it creates light. So Kirsten, make sure to comment below and drop those truth bombs. And then the sprinkling of the darkness just is such a good contrast. I mean, how gorgeous is that? Now, of course, this would kind of be considered a busy yarn. So you would want a calm pattern with a yarn like this. Now, something that I was reminded of whenever I was making this yarn was one of my newest colorways called God of Thunder. So I'm gonna show you two examples of God of Thunder, and you'll see it's like the cousin. Well, it's like the cousin to this one that is still unnamed. All right, God of Thunder sock, magic swirl. But looky here, friends, the swirl is actually the undyed portion of the yarn. So this is high contrast. We have our lights, we have our darks. But you can still see that beautiful turquoise. And what I love the most is this gray that just peeks out. Now again, if you have a magic swirl skein, it really is for intermediate to advanced knitters. One of the things that it does is that when you separate off for the heel flap, it will, oh, Cassandra, I've got 4 skeins of it in my shop, girl. Go get you one. The swirl will break up. So if you want the swirl to continue, you have to do like a German short row heel or an afterthought heel. Y'all, you can never go wrong with white, blue, and black. It's just gorgeous. Now here is God of Thunder in a worsted weight. It does not have the swirl, but look at that undyed part just coming out randomly. I chose I think this is the braided harvest scarf. I know, I agree, Janica. I like the heel flap. I think it's so pretty. This is the braided harvest free pattern on Ravelry, and it's very like switcheroo. Okay, so yes, and a contrasting heel flap would be wonderful. Like if you wanted just a white heel, that would be awesome too. So this is God of Thunder, where the white just comes up totally random, but you still have the lovely blue and black coming through. So the white, if y'all don't know about God of Thunder and Thor Odinson and Avengers, he is the God of Thunder, and he summons lightning from the sky. So the white represents the lightning coming out whenever he's, you know, saving the world. So really good examples of contrast. All right. Let's get into some other examples that I wanted to show you. I was going back and forth with this one because this is my Houston Astros inspired colorway, and I thought it would be a good one for complementary only because it's got this navy blue with this orange. Now it also ties in a contrast, right? The dark and the light. So this is almost like a Where's Waldo, but it's not red, it's orange. So yeah, this is another one where the blue and the orange don't mix. And when they do, really, the blue overpowers the orange and it does not make muddy brown goo. So yeah, that's Go Stros. These are for my mom. She's like the biggest Astros fan ever. And if y'all don't know about the swirl yarn, the swirl goes at a diagonal while the stripes remain horizontal. Okay. Another example of complementary, not this, is raspberry pickers. Now this is not a colorway that I have in my shop. This is for my Colors of Scotland friends who we went on a vacation to Scotland together in the summer of 2017. And based on our memories and our pictures and our collaboration with all the great colors, I dyed a mini skein set of 13 different colorways to capture our memories from Scotland. So we stopped by the side of the road one day on our tour, and we were like, raspberries, raspberries. And we were picking these raspberries off of the bushes on the side of the road like crazy people. Our hands were stained with the raspberry juice. We weren't even washing them off. We were just eating them. So yeah, green and red. And if you notice, there's way more red than green. And there's a reason for that. I wanted it to be like a raspberry instead of like Christmas, right? And I didn't want it to self-stripe, so the green comes in completely random. You're making her an Astros shawl. Oh, Jamie, I'm so glad. Yeah, I've got 2 skeins of that Go Stros sock yarn in the Etsy shop. So remember, y'all, it's dyetospin.etsy.com. And so when I was thinking of the primary colors, I was like, hey, wait a second. This is almost like printer ink. So I've got my cyan, I've got my yellow, and then let's just call this magenta, you know, just because we can. This is my show. And so this is almost like a take on the primary colors. It's bold, it's striking, it is colorful and busy. And so the cool thing about the Gone Viral swirl sock yarn is there's this darkness in the middle of the swirl. So that's a cool example of more primary. And so some of y'all need to know this. The swirl can misbehave, like I was saying earlier. It can change directions in the middle of your skein. But no, it's not in the middle of the skein. I'm sorry. It's in the middle of your project, especially a sock where you're picking up the gusset. It can change directions. So be aware that it has a mind of its own. But I still love it. Now I'm going to show you a cowl with the same exact sock yarn of the Gone Viral. Do not judge that my ends aren't woven in. That is one of the banes of my knitter life existence. And I know you feel me on that. Look at the movement here. Isn't that so cool? Now, this is a pattern by Lori Beardsley. Find her on Ravelry, Lori, L-A-U-R-I-E, B-B-E-A, Lori B Knitting. And look at how the eyelets are going one way, and then the swirl is going another way, but it switches. I mean, look at that. It's like so awesome. And then there's these times when there's like a double row of yellow and a double row of blue and a single row. Yeah, the Magical Swirl yarn is for advanced and intermediates. Highly recommend, but beginners can use it too if they just don't mind having some lessons in what it feels like emotionally to rip out all your work. I mean, comment below if you've had to rip out some some stitches or some rows or some whole garments, and it really has taught you a lesson, even though in the moment it sure didn't feel like it was teaching you a lesson. So I do have Lori Beardsley's info here on her, of course, on her Exploding TARDIS shawl. Because I flipped you, it's backwards. So if you just want to screenshot this, if you're on your phone, she's Lori B Knitting. And she's everywhere. Ravelry, Facebook, Craftsy, Pinterest. This is her Exploding TARDIS shawl. Now this is more of a lesson in primary, right? Because blue and yellow are primary. And these are two separate skeins. So you're not going to find any green. But look at the movement on that. Isn't that gorgeous? So yeah, find Lori B. So Wanda says, if you're not ripping, you're not knitting. What a great lesson that is. And if you're not succeeding, you're not learning. Wait, what? If I'm not succeeding, I'm learning. That's right. Okay. I totally messed that whole life lesson up. Okay, let's check on our babies. Let's check on our babies. Okay. Y'all know what these are going to look like, but look at this. This is the magic, y'all. This is the excitement of being a knitter. I mean, a yarn dyer. Look how pretty. Oh my gosh. It's so gorgeous. And most of the dye has exhausted. Okay. We're just going to leave that in there. Yeah, that's my newest method that I have figured out. My newest method in dyeing yarn. Now, I wanted to show you guys just a few examples of Casa Pinka. No, I'm not going to show you. I'm just going to tell you because our time is pretty much up. Casa Pinka is coming out with another shawl pattern that's going to be free if you buy yarn from a little yarn shop or an indie dyer like me. So what I've done today was I made a completely separate section in my Etsy shop just for Casa Pinka lovers, just for you. And it has about, I think, 8 or 9 already pre-paired yarns for you for your next Casa Pinka shawl. You buy the kit, you buy the yarn, you get my coupon code to go onto Ravelry between June 5th and June 7th. She's only giving us 48 hours to get this pattern for free. I get the yarn for you. You buy the yarn from my Etsy shop, dye2spin.etsy.com. Casa Pinka shawl kit is the section you'll go to. And I have a little bit of a surprise in there for you guys. I was thinking of something today that I'm really, really excited because y'all know I love collaborating with you. You know I love making your yarn dreams come true. So I have only 3 listings where one of the skeins is already dyed in the colorway and the other skein is completely undyed, and you have to tell me what you want me to make. Mind blown. And it's the most affordable of the kits too, because it's the 75-25 merino superwash merino nylon. It's 2 skeins of sock weight yarn. So one of the colorways is already done, and then you message me and tell me what you want for that semi-solid that will go along with your Casa Pinka shawl, or really, as I learned tonight, a mosaic, right? But if you want the Casa Pinka shawl code for the free pattern, you got to buy at least 1 skein of yarn from me in the next, whatever days up till June 7th, right? That's the only, so from now to June 7th, just look at something in my shop. So Kelly has a question. So is the turquoise and black an over dye? I wouldn't consider it an over dye, Kelly. And here's why. Because, and this is really all a matter of opinion, but an over dye to me is whenever I have a finished skein of yarn or a completely colored, dyed skein of yarn, and I'm like, you know, something's missing. I think I'm gonna go over this entire skein of yarn, dip it into like a diluted bath of brown or diluted bath of gray or, heaven forbid, a black, and you kind of over dye the entire skein. So I wouldn't consider the two-phase method an over dye because it's not laying in a bath, and the water level, as you guys know, is so crucial in allowing color to move or not. So there would, I will, Wanda, I will define semi-solid. So there will be white spots underneath after the turquoise has set that I would want to dye with that black, that gunmetal color. So I don't consider it a over dye. I'm calling it two-phase because that's, I don't know why, that just popped in my head the other day when I invented this way of doing it. So Wanda, semi-solid. In my opinion, a semi-solid is independently dyed yarn of just one color, okay? Because we don't have necessarily the, and this sounds kind of limiting, but it's really not. I mean, if we wanted to make an entirely 100% saturated skein of yarn in one color, we could, we totally could. And when I say we, I mean indie dyers. But commercially dyed yarn can guarantee that there's like no white spots. So a semi-solid is usually dyed independently. It's one color and it will have some variations of color here and there. All right, so that's my time, y'all. Thank you for joining us on this lesson. Thank you, Kirsten, for coming in and offering your areas of expertise. And remember, go to my dyedtospin.etsy.com website on Etsy to look at those Casa Pinka yarn pairings that I made just for you. Buy that one with the undyed yarn. I can't wait to see who's gonna do this. And let me know what I can dye for you because I can't wait to work with you guys. Have a great Saturday. See you next week. Bye, love you.